You are watching a screencast produced for the Foundation Degree course on the topic of IT-related legislation. We'll start by considering who this legislation is aimed at protecting. First off, the individual citizen. In the 21st century, we are increasingly living our lives online, and the information held online can be used to profile us. This can be used for legitimate purposes, such as marketing, but can also be used for other illegal purposes, such as perhaps fraud or blackmail. The sort of information that an individual might want kept private would include things like medical records, which can affect your ability to raise finances and perhaps even get a job. Religious beliefs. For thousands of years we've been slaughtering each other on the basis of religious belief. This has been recognized internationally by pieces of treaty, such as the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, which appreciates the fact that we don't have to live our lives inside a goldfish bowl. But what is perhaps of more relevance is the UK's take on legislation. There are three pieces of legislation mentioned here. The primary piece is the Data Protection Act, but there is also the Freedom of Information Act, which concerns our ability to find out what our government is doing and public authorities are doing, and also Health and Safety at Work Act, which is there to protect us from any adverse effects resulting from the use of computer equipment. There is also a fourth piece of legislation called RIPA, which is about the ability of state agents to investigate us as individuals. The Data Protection Act, I don't intend to spend too much time on this, other than to say the Data Protection Act is there to ensure that information is held for a specific named purpose. It's not excessive, it is accurate, it is secure, you have a right to access it. So that's the citizen. Now we'll briefly consider the state itself. In a democratic society, the state would claim to represent the interests of the citizens. There is a long and glorious history of spying and espionage between nations, and that is going on more than ever at the moment. The sort of legal protection which the government uses is primarily the Official Secrets Act, but also criminal law. RIPA gets a mention here. Moving on, protection of business. Why does business need protection? Well, like the state itself, it is subject to spying and espionage. Intellectual property is just one aspect of what needs to be protected. Being in the computer industry, we're obviously interested in software as an intellectual property right. Billions are invested in it. But there are many forms of intellectual property: music, film, pharmaceuticals. Kind of legislation which the UK has in place to protect business really concerns hacking, which is the Computer Misuse Act, and the protection of copyright, which is the Copyright Designs and Patents Act. That is an outline of IT-related legislation. There are two big issues which I'd like you to think about. First of all, the internet. The internet is obviously an international global thing, and yet laws are made at the level of nation states. This means that the internet is transnational, whilst most legal authority is national. This obviously creates a bit of an issue. A second issue worth thinking about and considering is the whole ethics associated with keeping information private. In the debate between openness and privacy, it's got to be remembered that being incredibly open about information and being very closed and private about information both have a downside. Privacy can engender corruption and cronyism, and openness can engender intolerance and judgment. So there are issues on both sides of the line. That ends this brief overview of IT-related legislation.